A husband in handcuffs after he takes his wife to the hospital and tells lie after lie.
She wanted out of the relationship. It wasn't working for her. She told him that. She told him he was pathetic and he couldn't handle that.
Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Angenette Levy. The case I'm going to tell you about today is absolutely tragic. It's about a woman named Christina Hampton. She was a loving mom to 3 boys. She was a nurse and a volunteer coach. Her family described her as kind, curious, and full of life, and the kind of person who made everyone feel seen and valued. Christina's life was stolen from her and her children last October by the man who vowed to love and cherish her. Christina Hampton married Clifton Hampton in 2012. Clifton posted a lot of photos of them on his TikTok account in happier times. Christina was a beloved nurse, as I mentioned, and her marriage to Clifton was her second, and they had a son together, making Christina a boy mom to 3. Well, Christina and Clifton smiled in a photo that Clifton marked first date on his TikTok account. By October of 2025, things had definitely changed. Christina wanted a divorce and she wanted out. Clifton became enraged. It was October 2nd, 2025, when Clifton Hampton showed up at a hospital in Craig County, Oklahoma, outside of Tulsa, with Christina's body wrapped in a mattress pad. Christina was wearing just a t-shirt and underwear, which is an important fact. She had injuries to her neck. Clifton also had scratches on his neck. A probable cause affidavit reveals that in Clifton's first interview with detectives, he told them that Christina had told him the day before that she wanted a divorce and that those discussions went into the evening and early morning hours of October 2nd. The detectives wrote, Clifton stated that he and Christina had taken a short drive, that she had exited the vehicle and gone a separate direction, and that he found her collapsed and injured on the side of the road a short time later. Now, these detectives, they were not born yesterday, and besides, Clifton's story, it made no sense. He brought Christina to the hospital wrapped in a mattress pad, and she was wearing just a t-shirt and underwear. She had injuries on her neck and other injuries that looked like drag marks. The detective also wrote, Clifton recounted a version of events that contained glaring contradictions. For example, Clifton stated that Christina walked away from the residence and he drove, and then stated that she had ridden with him and chose to exit the vehicle down the road. Clifton utilized the Google Maps application on my county-issued Apple iPhone to show me where he had located her body on the side of the road. Eventually, Clifton Hampton, he came clean to the detectives. They went for a drive that same morning, and he told them on that drive that he killed Christina. The detective wrote, Clifton stated to me that he had previously lied to me and that he and Christina had not gone for a drive that morning. Instead, the two were in bed after arguing all night, and that after Christina told him he was pathetic and that she and her friends make fun of him, Clifton became humiliated and angry and choked Christina while she was lying in bed. Clifton was standing next to the bed when this occurred. He further stated that he realized he had taken things too far and that she had a heartbeat when he began trying to get her body out to a vehicle to transport her to the hospital. Clifton then described how he had to drag Christina to the vehicle, and she suffered injuries to her nose because of that. Here's the sheriff.
As he tried to move the body from one location to other, um, that was those wounds were after her death that were observed there. Pretty good indicators there that I was thinking of the fact that some of the first people that we had on site were able to see some tracks in the dew that were actually a dolly that he'd used to move the body. After the formal sentencing last week, our investigators were able to answer some very, very tough questions that the family wanted to know. They wanted to know, things that led to, they wanted the peace of mind to know that, maybe their loved one didn't suffer as much as they thought. It's still pretty disturbing to try to explain that in words.
Clifton Hampton also told detectives that he put his hand around Christina's throat to shut her up. This is what Clifton Hampton did to the mother of his son and the stepmother of his other children. Christina Hampton died the victim of domestic violence. Like many women, she was killed because she wanted to leave, and leaving can be the most dangerous time for a woman who wants out of a relationship. Clifton Hampton was booked into the Rogers County Jail on one count of murder. Now he has pleaded guilty to murdering Christina, and he will spend the rest of his life in prison. Sadly, Christina's 3 sons are left without their mother. Christina wanted out of this marriage, and it makes you wonder, were there any red flags? A review of Clifton's social media showed that he seemed to put Christina on a pedestal. She was loved by many, many people, her sons, family, friends, and colleagues. And there was this really odd post from April of 2025 where he wrote, "You walk in, catch your wife mid-crunch, and she freezes like a raccoon caught in the trash. Crumbs everywhere. She tries to act casual, but there's a whole crime scene of cracker debris in the sheets. You just stand there like, really? This is what betrayal looks like." Clifton might have thought that this was a joke, but it really sounds very creepy and controlling. One of the reasons that we can cover important but tragic cases like this one is because we have really great partners like OneSkin. OneSkin is different from other products that you've tried. It's not complicated, and it makes my skin feel and look great. As we age, our skin cells stop functioning the way that they should, causing those fine lines and dullness. But at the core of OneSkin is their patented OS1 peptide, designed to target these issues on the cellular level. Like their OS1 eye supplement, its hydration gives eyes a boost right away. But then over time, it rebuilds that elasticity from within, unlocking overall healthier skin. Born from over a decade of research and backed by numerous peer-reviewed clinical studies, OneSkin's OS1 peptide is proven to target the invisible signs of aging. Plus, they have over 10,000 five-star reviews. So for a limited time, try OneSkin for 15% off using the code CrimeFix at oneskin.com/CrimeFix. After you purchase, support our show and tell them that we sent you. So to discuss this incredibly disturbing case, I want to bring in Matt Ballard. He is the district attorney for Rogers County, also represents a district there, District 12 in Oklahoma, that includes other counties. Matt, thank you so much for coming on to discuss this terribly sad and tragic case.
Absolutely. This was, you're right, this is a tragic case. At the same time, I like people to know what happened, and ultimately the victim in this case, she deserves recognition. And so I like anything I can do to carry on the memory of Christina Hampton and keep that memory alive. I'm happy to do.
We talked a little bit earlier in the podcast about Christina, and we read about her in her obituary, but this was a really devoted mother. It sounds like she never missed a game of her kids. She helped coach at the school. I mean, her sons, her family, and she was a nurse. I mean, everybody has got to be reeling from this, Matt.
Oh, the community was stricken by this. I mean, she was such an integral part of the community, of being part of that football team. I mean, I say in Oklahoma, football's big, and they canceled their game after this happened because the team was too distraught to go forward. She was such an important part of that team, of that community, of those kids that they weren't even able to move forward with a game, and it hit everybody, and everybody is still reeling from it. It has had a huge impact on everyone.
And the 3 boys, I mean, her sons
Oh,
are
absolutely.
now, at least the youngest one is without his mother and father, but then the 2 older boys too, without their mother. I mean, it's just, this is so senseless, and
It is.
it's beyond belief.
It's such a tragic loss. I mean, I can't imagine. You're right. I mean, you lose your mother, she's gone, and then your father's responsible for that. I mean, that's just a unfathomable set of circumstances that to have somebody that that you love be responsible for an act like this, and you lose both parents as a result. It's such a senseless tragedy. It's an absolutely horrific crime, and it defies understanding. It really does.
I want to go back to October 2nd of 2025, and the deputies there, in Rogers County and the detectives get a call, that Christina Hampton has been taken to the hospital by her husband, Clifton Hampton, and she's been taken to a hospital in another county, and something's not right. Something's not right. She's been brought to the hospital in a mattress pad. He didn't call 911. She's wrapped in a mattress pad, and she has marks on her neck, and she has other injuries, and he has scratches on his neck. So take it from there if you would. This was obviously not what Clifton was claiming it was, like, her wandering off and
Right.
him finding her collapsed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from the very beginning, his story started to break down. It didn't make sense, and it didn't match up with the physical evidence. She was taken to the hospital, had marks on her neck. I mean, that clearly he tried to pass it off. Maybe she was involved in a traffic accident. She went away. Maybe she was hit by a vehicle. Well, I mean, doctors aren't stupid. I mean, they pretty quickly realized his story is not matching up with the physical evidence, and so they did absolutely the right thing. They called law enforcement, and officers that responded immediately, and they went to work. Went to work doing what they do, which is to figure out what happened, to tell the story based on the evidence, and they started digging in. And once they did, then his story started to collapse, and it did so pretty quickly.
Hmm. It sounds like it happened very quickly. That he's telling this. I'm going to just say it. It's a cockamamie story. That they're out for a drive and she takes off,
Yeah,
and he finds her. It's absurd. And then he's talking about some like he's explaining his injuries about roughhousing with the older son and this dog Moose, and it's like
yeah,
nobody roughhouses with a dog and a son and gets scratches on their neck. So
no.
this is obviously indicative of Christina. She tried to fight for her life. She tried to save herself.
Absolutely. I mean, it's really sad. And I mean, clearly, what we can tell from the injuries to her, this was a surprise attack too. I mean, this was not something that she saw coming. Based on the evidence that the detectives are looking at, they think he probably attacked her while she was sleeping,
Oh.
and she didn't stand a chance. I mean, and it's really a tragic set of circumstances. She was ready to move on with her life. I mean, that's what we think sent him over the edge was she wanted out of the relationship. It wasn't working for her. She told him that. She told him he was pathetic, and he couldn't handle that. That was too. I think that was probably emasculating for him. He wasn't going to let her go in that manner, and so he waited till she was asleep and he attacked her in her sleep. And there's something just pathetic and wrong about that. Just from the very beginning, it's just sickening that somebody would do that. To somebody that you should love and cherish, but no, that's not who Clifton Hampton was. And we're fortunate that we had law enforcement that started digging in and started asking the questions, and the doctors who realized, like, yeah, she has injuries. Her nose was broken. She had what appeared to be drag marks. She had injuries across her body that were not at all consistent with a vehicle accident. So we're fortunate that we had the medical professionals and the law enforcement professionals who didn't just take the first story that was given to them. They dug in and they got to the truth.
This guy, obviously, he's kind of a loser, and I know you said she wanted to move on with her life. And he said this discussion about the divorce had been going on the day prior,
Yeah.
and it moved into the evening hours and things of that nature. And obviously, she's saying she had talked with her friends, and they all agreed he was pathetic, and they make fun of him. Um, you know, I mean, was she somebody who was carrying, like, was she the breadwinner in this relationship? Was she carrying like the much of the weight in the family, the mental load, like all of these things? Like, what was going on? What did you learn about their relationship?
Yeah, I think that what we know about Christina Hampton was that absolutely she was, she was the rock in that family. I mean, she was the rock in that community. She was the rock in that relationship. Absolutely, she had a very successful medical career. Even at sentencing, we had doctors showing up, coworkers that came and were part of that. But that goes to who she was. So absolutely, she was the main part of that relationship. And when she was going to leave, that was unacceptable to him. He couldn't let that happen. I think is what set him over the edge.
There are some of his old TikToks and Facebook posts that, to me, I guess in hindsight, kind of looking back, it almost seems like you could look at them now and see them as kind of controlling, and he's like, he puts this kind of like weight on her, like that she changed everything, and it might seem really loving, but at the same time, he's like putting all of this on her, like that she changed his life so much and was such an important piece of his life. It's like if she is gone, everything collapses for him.
Yeah.
Was there anything you learned about the dynamic in their relationship after this happened? Like, were there red flags that you learned about that, and maybe this is why she was leaving?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Hindsight's always 2020, and the unfortunate part of this was, there are two people in this relationship, and one of them's dead now, and he did it. So he silenced her. So it's hard to go back and piece together, what was going through her mind. But certainly, when you look back at it, I think he was very controlling.
Mhm.
Wasn't willing to let her leave, and realized that. That he wasn't going to get somebody better than her. And so rather than just accept that, rather than just move on, he couldn't let that happen. He was too controlling to let that happen. And that's why you see him acting out in violence like this. I mean, attacking her, when she was likely asleep. I mean, that's just, it's beyond the pale that somebody would do that. But that speaks to who he is. And it also speaks to who she is. That she was somebody that that was bright and had a promising and was a wonderful person. But it's pretty pathetic for her to be taken that way.
Did interviews with family and friends ever shed any light on what she had told them? Did you guys learn anything from them during the investigation about, like, yeah, Christina wanted to leave because of X, Y, and Z? Because like
Yeah.
sometimes domestic violence, it isn't always physical. There's like emotional abuse and all kinds of things.
I mean, I don't think we were ever able to pinpoint an exact reason, what it was that was the straw that broke the camel's back. We weren't able to identify that, but what we did learn was that he was very controlling. That she wanted out. She was done with the relationship. She realized that she needed to get out of it and to move on. And everybody realized, like, he just wasn't going to let that happen. No, I don't think anybody suspected that he would go this far, but absolutely, he was somebody who was controlling, and wasn't going to let her walk away.
It's just really upsetting. These poor kids. The three boys. Their lives are never going to be the same. And obviously, she had a huge impact, as you mentioned, on the community and her surviving family members as well. Matt, any final thoughts?
I'm just glad that we were able to get some measure of justice for Christina, and that her memory is still out there. I mean, this is a horrific, senseless crime. You know, I'm glad that he's going to spend likely the rest of his life in prison. That's exactly where he needs to be. Committing just an absolutely senseless act like this. I mean, the simple fact is that there's nothing in this world that would even out what happened to her. But we could get some measure of justice and ensure that he won't spend a day of the rest of his life as a free person, and that's exactly where he needs to be.
No doubt. And one final thing I do want to mention, Matt, is a lot of times we see this with women, the most dangerous time for them is when they want to leave. And I think that women watching this, if there's anything that positive that can come out of this, and I'm not sure there is much that can, but if I think women watching this, if you're going to leave and you want to leave, have a plan.
Absolutely.
Maybe have a plan. And if you're going to say I'm leaving, maybe don't be around that person after you say that. Or, there are maybe some steps you can take if you're planning to leave to protect yourself, because you just don't know what's going to happen.
You're absolutely right. And I think it's so wrong that we even have to have that conversation. I mean, Christina absolutely had the right to leave. I mean, she didn't have to stay with somebody that was controlling, that didn't match who she was. She absolutely had that right. And it's sad that we have to have that conversation, but you're right. I mean, that's what I would tell my children, what I would tell the community is have a plan, but absolutely, you've got the right to do that. And I just wish we still had Christina in our community.
Yeah, it's just awful. Matt Ballard, District Attorney for Rogers County. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Good talking to you.
Again, Clifton Hampton will spend the rest of his life in prison for the murder of Christina. If you or anyone you know have concerns about domestic violence, there's help out there. Just dial 1-800-799-SAFE. And that's it for this episode of Crime Fix. I'm Angenette Levy. Thanks so much for being with me. I'll see you back here next time.